I love when she says, have fun in hell. And he goes, I told you before, there is no hell.
Hello, my name is Steve.
And I'm David.
And we are into episode 4 of Anime Plus.
This week in Orb. Again, as always, consistency picks up immediately where it left off. Draka is confronted with Bishop Antonio and his merry band of idiots as they're basically like, so you're ours now, because her uncle sold her out to the church in an attempt to save his own life. There is this back and forth about how she is kind of her own woman, she's intelligent, things that Antonio is kind of trying to use to his own advantage. And then he realizes that she's carrying the book.
They have a intelligent conversation about future problems that the church is going to be facing based upon unrest that's happening and the fact that a lot more people are starting to question the church's authority. And then
hinting at the Reformation.
Her arguments with him compel him enough to, instead of using her to his own design, to invite her back to the Abbey so they can discuss this further because he's interested in hearing what her ideas are.
It seems like Antonio is like always trying to make the church better.
Right,
and his position.
Yeah, but no, I think you're right. I think he does have a lot of faith within the organization and does want to make it better.
Homie's trying to shoot for Pope.
His biggest thing when we were introduced to him was his problems with what he thought were his father's distractions in his obsession with astronomical heretics.
He then notices that she's carrying the book, and he's like, what is that? Give it to me. And as one of his henchmen are going to grab it, dude gets both arms cut off by the Heretic Liberation Front, who go and just immediately slaughter almost all of the bishop's men, including Draka's uncle.
Draka's uncle was a unforeseen casualty.
So then Antonio and his men, fuck off, and Draka is faced with this idea of give us the book or else, to which she very quickly decides, all right, fuck around, find out. Burns the book and goes, I have it committed to memory. Because apparently she has just an amazing memory.
Endemic memory, yeah.
Schmidt just goes, all right, she's coming with us. Let's go. We got to take her to the boss. So then they take her to the hideout, in which they get into this conversation that mirrors her conversation with Antonio, but from the front that Schmidt's beliefs are that there should be no institutions. And then Schmidt is confronted with the fact that Draka has no faith. And this creates another level of existence to Schmidt's reality.
Yeah, because he had never confronted anybody. That people can
exist without a belief in God. Like he said, it instinctually enrages him.
Yeah.
But then it interests him. And they have this whole conversation about the Reformation and how the information in this book can be spread via the printing press, which I had called that's what they were going to use. Boom, I was right.
And now we have a more concrete idea of what time period we're doing.
It is literally, so I'm pretty sure this is post 30 Years War, because that war that he was talking about had to be the war between the Lutherans and the Catholics in Germany.
Yeah.
And so this idea of using the printing press, which was a way that they were spreading the Reformation, was also going to be how they spread heliocentrism.
And he directly references its role in the Reformation itself.
Yes. They're going to use these fundamentalists to spread this radical idea because the way Schmidt puts it, the Reformationists are more open to logic and reason than the Catholic Church is. And so there's now this standoff between the two where Draka is like, can we really trust them? And then they have even more arguments about her lack of faith and his weird view of faith. And she claims that he's just making another institution, and he decides to prove who's right by a coin flip.
He has very conflicting ideals.
Yes.
Because on one hand, he will talk about how he doesn't like technology and he thinks it only does things that are bad for humanity.
Yeah.
And how he lives his life based upon the guidance of God.
Yeah.
Through blind faith in fate.
Can we talk about how Draka is just a industrial capitalist?
But I think we talked about that last week.
We said she's a capitalist, but she's also an industrialist.
And she's also an atheist.
Yeah, it's just like, there you go.
Their trip took like a day.
It did.
So there's a segment in the first night as they're traveling where
The sun rises.
where he notices that the sun rises and he forces their wagon to stop. And they go through a ritual of absorbing the sun's rays and, thanking God for the warmth and the return to light.
Yeah.
And Draka, which is something we didn't talk about from the previous episode, she has this aversion towards light because it brings her bad memories stemming from when she found out her father was murdered.
Right.
There is
specifically the morning sun.
There's a very concrete parallel between Draka's aversion to the sun, particularly the dawning sun, and Schmidt's reverence of it. When we look at the dichotomy between Gross and Otzi,
right,
and how Otzi would shield his eyes from looking up in the night sky.
Right. So then they finish up this conversation, and they make it to where their boss is.
The next evening, yeah.
Next evening. And the episode of the anime basically ends. The boss comes outside, greets them, and lo and behold, David's right again. It was Yolenta.
I mean, I agreed with you on the concept that it was Yolenta.
I'm calling it. I'm calling.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a shot caller.
I am very glad that the episode ended with us knowing that it was Yolenta instead of dragging it on to the next episode to find out who the leader was.
Yes.
I was very grateful they did that.
It's just good to see that Yolenta's alive, and she looks good for like 30-something.
And she's probably lived a really hard life, too.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
As a fugitive from the church.
Definitely. No, she looks great.
I can't wait for the next episode because this is going to be fantastic to see the conversation between Yolenta and Draka.
Yes.
This episode was great. We had 2 parallel conversations between Draka and another person, and her refuting their convictions and her arguing her convictions.
I love how the conversations show how smart Draka is of retaining information when she knows it's important. Like her keeping in the fact that she's an atheist in front of the bishop, but then realizing that she's safe with the heretic with the Heretic Liberation Front, she can then say that she's a heretic in a very, like, even more heretical than they are.
And she was a little bit shocked when she realized, when he confirmed that he actually is still faithful, just anti-church.
It shows how smart of a character Draka is, and how finally we have a character that might not blather their plans out to every single fucking person in the street.
She is quite calculating. And considering the fact that women are still disregarded as people worthy of having the time of day with, both of these gentlemen who had a conversation with her respected her from her position and didn't consider her beneath them. They're like, oh, okay.
I legitimately think the bishop did want to completely hear her out.
I think he did, yeah. He was like, tell me what your insight is because you're bringing in a different perspective that apparently you've already shown potential and ability within your own group of people.
There's a lot that went down this episode.
There's so many questions.
We're going to get answers. This show is really good about answers.
It is very good at completing its questions.
Because even for that longest time, we didn't know what Father Gabrowski did with Count Piast's book. And then he's like, oh, fuck, I think I got Bedeni killed. And you're like, there it is. Close the case.
I mean, we had suspected that anyways. We suspected he was the one that...
We suspected that he was doing it maliciously, but he didn't. And now it makes sense that since she's the leader, why she was looking specifically for the names Otzi and Bedeni in the book. And it's
and how they knew it. Nobody's talking about them. Their existence has been very much
erased from society. Yeah. The show is amazing. The show definitely does everything it needs to do to keep you invested.
The show is so good. I'm going to be so sad when it's over with.
I know. But at least we're going to get the whole story wrapped in one package.
It's been so worth it. It's been such a rewarding series to watch.
Chef's kiss.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for checking out the episode. If you're watching Orb, let us know what you thought of this episode and the dichotomy that we were seeing between these 2 gentlemen who were rooted within their faith as they confront a teenage girl who is very vocally different and opposed to them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop comments. Find us on our socials. The links are below.
Interact with us.
Jump into Discord. And don't forget about our other series that comes out on Wednesdays, where we are reviewing 3 series for the season. Zenshu, Ubel, Blatt, and Sakamoto Days. All right. Thanks again. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Later, otakus.